Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our January 18th edition of our PBIS Leaders Network. I know as we get started, we'll still have people filtering in, but we want to respect your time and we want to get started right away this morning. It is cold and I think we're expecting more bad weather, unfortunately, but I hope you're warm wherever you are and staying caffeinated and warm in this weather. So today is our January 18th edition. Today, you can access our materials at this particular bit.ly if you would like copies of the slides. And also, if you would like to receive one contact hour this morning, please make sure you click on the top link. That it will give you a contact hour that you will be emailed after this session. So again, this is good for one contact hour that you can use for your LPDC. And I will give everyone a minute to kind of get the bit.ly down. And if anybody is available and has it, and they would like to repost that in the chat, that would be great. Any of our SST team members. So I will give everyone a moment to do that. So again, make sure you get your attendance in for us, and there is a link to the presentation. And again, I will give it another minute for you guys to be able to do that. Anyone wanting a contact hour for this morning will need to sign in for us. All right, we're going to kind of move on, and I'm sure somebody on the team will be posting in the chat both the slides as well as the attendance if you haven't had a chance to get that yet. So we're going to start with an opening activity, a connection activity. It's really, really easy. And this comes again from the first 5. For those of you who have been on our meetings, you know that I am a huge fan of the first 5. It is a great resource that you can use to make connections to your students in class. And I really like the fact that it's emailed like at 7 a.m. in the morning with no prep on the teacher's part, and all great ideas on how to make connections with their students. It's really kind of an easy thing. It just shows up in your inbox, which is really cool. So we're going to start with a this or that winter activity. And in the chat, I see Tina already is cozying up. Post in the chat for us if you would rather on these cold winter days be cozying up indoors, or would you rather be outdoors like skiing or tubing or walking or hiking. We'll give you a minute to go ahead and post that in the chat. Thanks, Tina. Cozy up. Yeah. Oh, I think I see a theme here. Cozy up with a book. That's great. Cozy up. Oh my gosh, I don't see, there's not one be outdoors. I'll give it another second. Everybody wants to be cozy. And Michelle did post the link to the slides in the chat as well. Oh my gosh, not one outside. Well, I am hoping to get skiing this weekend. So I do like to cozy up indoors, but I really do like to ski. So I'm kind of, I know probably don't throw darts at me, but I'm kind of glad that we're getting a little bit of snow because I will be able to hit the slopes this weekend, which I'm very, very excited about. So thank you for participating with us. And again, that first 5 activity, and they always split it by secondary and elementary. It's great if there's a direct link there on how you can sign up. It is a great little thing that you can use, and it's all free. So thank you for indulging me this morning. So our agenda today, we have Tina Saley here from Portage Lakes Career Center. She's going to be doing a presentation for us, which I'm extremely excited about. Some things that they're doing at the Career Center. We are going to talk about other ways to make connection and relationships with some easy PBIS strategies. And then we're going to give you all the updates that you guys are tuning in for as far as state and regional updates. So I am going to, with no further ado, I am going to throw it to Tina, and she's going to walk us through her presentation this morning. Good morning, Tina.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to share about a really cool project that we did this year. I just want to reiterate about the first five, though. I think that was a resource that you shared maybe at the last leaders meeting. I shared it out in my weekly PBIS email to staff, and so many of them picked that up and were like really excited that it was like just boom in their email at 7:15. And I think a lot of teachers were already sort of doing some things similar-ish to that, but they had to come up with it on their own every day, especially like English teachers and things like that. But we're a career technical center, so I think sometimes people need like permission to, let's take a minute and let's just have a minute where, we're just talking to each other about, something funny or something going on outside of school. So it was very well received. So I just want to thank you for that resource. So again, I'm the assistant principal at Portage Lakes Career Center. I'm in charge of the PBIS program here. It's a huge passion of mine. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So Heidi I had shared a really cool project that our team put together that I felt like was just so worth sharing. Anytime we do something that I feel like is powerful, I like to share it with Heidi, just because I know, not everybody is as excited about this kind of work as we are. And I know that, she'll share in the joy with me. So we've been participating in Unity Day for years and years and years. It's like a national day that happens every October. It's usually the middle of October, like the 15th or 16th. And we invite all of our staff and our students to wear orange, which is the color of unity, to stand up to bullying and to just, show unity for each other. I feel like it's really become a good example of how PBIS stuff isn't just this little token economy. It's become an example to the staff that PBIS has its legs in a lot of different things that we do that are just truly just treating that whole child. So this year, what we did was we actually were very fortunate. We had the support from our administration to get t-shirts for all of our students and our staff that say PLCC logo on them. And then they have like a big, unity peace sign on the back that has, all the different words related to unity. And so on Wednesdays, we say, we don't wear pink, we wear orange, which I love that sort of connection to Mean Girls. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Well, not here. On Wednesdays, we wear orange. So all of our students were given these shirts. And then on that day in October, every year we come up with some type of just a quick, simple activity that we can go into the labs to do. Sometimes we'll give them a prompt and ask them to write something just like on a sheet of paper, and we'll create like a chain in the hallway, and it's something little that everybody participates in that creates something bigger. This year we did the prompt, if you knew me, you would know. And every student was given just a Post-it note to write something personal about themselves. And it was completely anonymous. It went into a box, that was all boxed up and nobody could see who wrote down what. And we had our design, communication, and marketing students create this awesome poster for us in the hallway. So we put them all up, all the responses, and I think the next slide has some of the responses. And it was brutal. I mean, absolutely heartbreaking to see. And I don't think it has anything to do with our students. I think it just has to do with the hardships that people are going through that we really don't know about. I mean, you really don't know what people are going through. You hear about the one student who, oh my gosh, they experienced this significant trauma, and you think that's special. You think that's like just that one kid. And the reality that was in front of us on this board was that it was lots of kids that have experienced such significant loss and trauma, and parents who they these kids are almost adults. Some of the kids wrote, my mom chose alcohol over me, my mom chose drugs over me, my dad's in prison. And these should not be blips on the radar, but they are, because we had no idea. And the anonymity of just putting it on this little piece of paper and slipping it in a box was so powerful that the kids told us all the things. And then we immediately felt powerless. We felt like, oh my gosh, like, what do we do with this information? Like, there are so many kids that need help, like that are experiencing things that, you know, most of the adults in the building haven't experienced. And so, you know, it was up in the hallway, this big poster with, you know, and you would just see students and staff, and we have adult education students in the building, just sort of pausing in front of it and just being like overcome by the things that our students were going through. And so I just felt like we have to do a follow-up. We have to, like, no, I need to know, are the kids all right? You know, do they have strategies to handle these things that are so very hard? And so that's the next slide. I had our DCM students right underneath it. I thought we have to, it has to connect, right? Like, we have to see, these are the hard things, but now let's give each other some ideas how we can manage these life challenges. So it was same simple format, right? Just a piece of paper, but this time I printed them with the prompt. And then at the bottom, if a student felt so inclined that they felt like they need to talk to a counselor, they need some help from our in-house or not necessarily in-house, but our Greenleaf counselor that comes in, can we connect you? So that little piece was at the bottom. And if they wanted to add their name and to get information about extra help, they could put their name. Most students did not, great. But some did, you know, and so it was on everybody's, and everybody folded it in half. Nobody knew who put their name on it. They dropped it in the box, same thing. So there was still that, you know, power of like privacy, but also, you know, made us feel like, okay, now we can try to identify some kids that actually do want some help. And now when people walk through the hall, they see the hard, but they also see different ways that, you know, they find the unity in, oh yeah, that's really helpful for me too. Or, hey, maybe I'll try that. You know, the different things that they have found that are helpful to them, like their family, their friends, their animals, their work, and even their school. So it was an awesome sort of follow-up activity. And then out of the blue, one of our teachers just felt like, we got to do something else with this. Like, we need to share this with the community. And so he made a video highlighting some of the things that the students said that were really hard and what they're doing to get through it. And so we're going to share that with you today. And I would encourage you to have some tissues handy, because it's brutal and also powerful. You know, I mean, it's hard to see the things that the kids are going through, but it's also really powerful to see how they're handling it. So
yeah, I'm warning you, because when Tina sent it to me, I was like a pool of water after I watched it. So
this was Mr. Pernod just decided he wanted to do this. He's our government teacher. He just felt like we needed to do something with it.
Right. Let me know if I optimized for sound. I hope the sound comes through, because the music is really good too. Okay.
Life is too far to walk alone. You can't do it on your own. It's like bare hands digging through stone. And if things go down much steeper hills, even money won't pay these bills. But time will show you now. The people are gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. In the trials of today, there are signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And I can't get so high, I get so high on myself sometimes. I keep on drifting a million miles from this planet. But what a shame it would be to look back on our lives and to realize that I've taken you and you for granted. 'Cause people are gonna be okay. Storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And whether we laugh or whether we grieve, I know both sides are gonna make us see how bad we need each other. And don't you know how bad we need each other? And I cannot see what's a mile around the bend. I do not know where this world is headed or where it may end. But you gave me this smile, and so I threw away my frown. And I ain't gonna pick up. You don't pick up what you just put down. No, people are gonna be okay. I said storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. How bad we need each other. And the trials of today, they are signs along the way to remind us how bad we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? Yeah, people are gonna be okay. And I said storms never come to stay. They just show us how bad we need each other. Don't you know how bad we need each other? We ought to take a little time to sit, because the wisest men forget how bad we need each other. Don't you know?
The last thing I'll say is that after he made it and he sent it to me and I cried all my tears, I obviously sent it to our staff and just reiterated, like, this is why we do all these things. We don't have, PBIS to give kids little tokens and pieces of candy. It's one little piece of the school culture puzzle to try to make it a positive experience for students to come to school every day. So anyways, that's it. That's my whole spiel. If anybody wants to share that, please do.
So I would say that's not it, because I'm crying again after watching that video for the third time. So let's just take a minute, I guess, to process, because that's a lot, that's heavy, and open it up for any comments, questions in the chat or unmuting. If you have any questions for Tina, like how she got this project started, or questions about logistics, or just questions about anything really, feel free to post in the chat or unmute. I'll give everybody a minute to process, and then we'll move on if we don't have any questions.
Heidi, can I say something?
Absolutely. Thank you, Monique.
Yes.
Sure.
So I just wanted to share that trauma is heavy, and it's really hard to read those. I'm still kind of, my voice is kind of shaky because I was crying too. But the beauty is, when you see the things that the children were saying that they're grateful for, is that there is healing that can come from it. So the things that these children are dealing with is heavy, and a lot of us don't know it, but it is so beautiful to know that we, as the trusted adults in their life, can help to start facilitate that healing. And that's proof in how many of them said the things that they're grateful for. Mm-hmm. That's all I wanted to share.
And a lot of kudos in the chat, Tina, and I see a lot of heart emojis and saying thank you for sharing. And I would like to do this in my district, and I think it's really great. And I really love the point that you made about, sometimes as a PBIS consultant, honestly, and I'm being very transparent here, I get frustrated with people that say PBIS is not appropriate for high school students. It is appropriate. It's more than appropriate. And sometimes I think it's even more important, because the little guys get more of that social emotional, I think, naturally, because they're younger. And I think it's a natural thing that we do. I think me teaching middle school for many, many years, those kids needed more love and more attention than a lot of the younger kids needed. And it's true for the high school kids as well. So I think we really have to think about how we're utilizing PBIS at the high school. So thank you again for sharing that. And thank you for joining us this morning to be able to do that, because it's really important work to make sure that kids feel safe, supported, and included in their school, no matter what level that they're in. So I'm going to use this now. Oops. As a shameless plug for our switching gears a little bit, for our high school, middle school networking that I think has been really received pretty well, that we're going to do this high school, middle school PBIS networking. And so we did send out a Google survey trying to ascertain what days and what times would be best for folks. And this is what the majority voted for. As you see there, they're going to be 45-minute sessions where high school and middle school practitioners are just going to come together and talk about the issues that they're having with implementation, because we know in middle school and high school, it does look a little bit different. And I think we need a platform or an area where people can get together and say, I'm struggling with this. What are you guys doing for this? And so there's not going to be any planned presentation during this time, but it's going to be more of an open forum where people are going to come and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you guys do about that at your high school or middle school? So it is open to anyone. There is no registration for it. The people that I've reached out to already have already shown an interest, or we thought might have had an interest in it, but anybody is welcome to come to these. And we're going to have them once a month through May. They're only going to be 45 minutes long. And this is the Zoom link and the meeting ID and passcode that you'll need to get into those meetings. If you'll have copies of if you've downloaded the slides, you'll have copies of that. Those are direct links for you that you'll have. And again, maybe Stacy or Michelle, I think they were popping the slides into the chat box. We can continue to do that to make sure you have that if you would like to join us. So there may be folks from outside of our region who have also expressed an interest. So it might be regional folks, and we might have people outside the region who are high school and middle school practitioners in PBIS that might be joining us. But we're really hoping this is going to be a benefit. We've wanted to make it a short enough time that it's not too much of a crunch in your day. But we really know that high school and middle school, it looks different. The framework it does look different. So we want to make sure we have a platform for you. So please, anybody who is interested, we're gonna offer these throughout the end of the year. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or any of the consultants at the state support team if you're interested in joining us. And again, it's gonna be kind of a come as you are. Just show up. If there's an issue you're dealing with that you want to talk to other people about, we're going to have an open forum for that. So shameless plug after that heartfelt video, a shameless plug for us, but hopefully again, a support for our high school and middle school practitioners. So we thought what might be a good idea today, since we started with that video and with Tina presenting from PLCC about that cool strategy they did for Unity Day, that we wanted to remind everybody we are now to the midpoint of the year. And I think we are kind of in hopefully routine and procedures that we're doing, and we're really kind of in our routines for the year. But I think it's a great time for a reminder that we're teaching our content, we're doing all these things. Sometimes we get involved with the minutia of the day, that we still need to be connecting with students. And so there are great, easy, non-prep strategies that we're going to kind of share with you guys this morning that you can take back to your buildings and your districts. And they're easy ways for teachers to reconnect with students. I think it's a great time. Again, we should be reteaching expectations at this point in the school year, because we're kind of halfway through. This should probably be like a booster session time. But I think it's really another time to think about how are we connecting with students, particularly coming off the Christmas holiday, when sometimes that's actually more traumatic for kids during that time, being at home. Because there's so much uncertainty or whatever's happening, whatever crises or toxic things are happening at home. It's really a great time to reconnect with students. So we have a couple things that we would like to share with you today, starting with something that was shared to me by my counterpart in Akron, who isn't able to join us this morning. But this is something that she shares in Akron schools, and it comes from their Character Strong curriculum. And I love it because it's really another strategy that you don't have to do any prep for. It's called Four at the Door plus one more. And basically what it is making that connection when students enter your classroom, starting with that simple things, making eye contact, looking at the students in the eye. Of course, unless it's not culturally appropriate to do so, obviously that would be a different consideration. But making eye contact with students, showing that you're looking at them as they enter the door. The second one is just using their name. Everybody feels better when you use their name when you're addressing them or you're talking to them. So making sure that you can properly pronounce their name, ask if you're not sure, but using the child's name when they come to the door. Having a physical greeting. A lot of times we've seen these videos where teachers who have special handshakes or high fives or fist bumps. If the student doesn't respond, you offer it anyway, and you're non-judgmental about it and let the child enter the room, even if they don't engage with you with the physical greeting. Number 4 is heart to heart, make a connection. This is what we call in PBIS that non-contingent attention, not contingent on anything in school. How was the ball game over the weekend? Did you see your sister? Oh, I see you have let's say a Cavs jersey, not a Browns jersey today. We'll say a Cavs jersey on. Are you how did the Cavs do last night? Anything that you can do to make that personal connection that's not related to anything in school. So that's really important that it's not related to their schoolwork. And then the last thing, which is kind of like the add-on that I really like, is then setting them up for success with a task as they enter the classroom. And this really talks about your classroom procedures and routines. What activities should the students be doing to be seated and focused? What are they engaging in as soon as they come in? We used to call it, and I'm going to show my age here, we used to call it bell work. Not probably the best thing, but at least it was a procedure or routine that we did with students. I've seen it be done. I have seen it done really, really well in a classroom that I was in one of the schools I was in recently. It was all about the music, this calm music was playing, and they had this procedure, the connections were made at the door, and then the students really knew what was expected, and they got into whatever it was that they were doing for work in the morning. So I love this one. If you click on the Four at the Door plus one more right on that link, there's more information if you would like this strategy to use or to share in class in your districts or classrooms. Again, I think it's great. Four at the Door we kind of knew about, but I love the one more. So here we've made a connection. Now let's jump right into our procedures for the day. And again, if teachers aren't revisiting their procedures and routines now mid-year, that is another great time to do it, because we've kind of fallen away probably with practicing that stuff. We're reteaching expectations, we're reconnecting with students, but those classroom routines also should be retaught. Any of those things that you're doing that is something that all students are expected to do in your classroom, whether it would be turning in homework, sharpening a pencil, getting ready for the end of the day, getting ready for the beginning of the day. Those all should be revisited and should be re-practiced again at this time of the year. This one is new for me, and I discovered it. It comes from an Edutopia article. It's called Friendly Fridays. And this is a way to help build community in your classroom. And even though these are like the itty bitties you see on the picture and the articles about the little itty bitties, I think this could absolutely be done with middle and high school students in a developmentally appropriate way. Students pick a classmate's name from a popsicle jar. It is a secret. They don't tell anybody. And then at the end of the time, whatever that time is that the teacher decides, the student creates something for that person that they picked from the popsicle jar. This teacher uses it more for like an art, usually she does more like an art project with it. And the reason why she chose to do it is because by the time we get to the afternoon on Friday, students are struggling to get through the day. Teachers are struggling to get through the day before the weekend. And this was something fun that the kids really liked that they could do at that Friday afternoon to help bridge that time before the weekend starts. I could see this absolutely being done to give positive peer feedback to each other, whether it be on a project, a writing assignment, a math problem, anything like that. And I think it could be more developmentally appropriate for high school or middle school kids if you do it that way. But it's really cool because the kids get to keep the secret. It builds community in the classroom, and it's something that can be done. In the article, if you're interested, if you look toward the end of the article, it'll give you other ways to extend this practice to do different things like positive self-talk and other things that students may need. So this is another great relationship building strategy that you can use. Again, it's going to show you for a fourth grade. The article talks about a fourth grade classroom, but I think it's appropriate pre-K-12, really. Monique is going to talk about restorative questioning techniques. And again, you don't have to be doing the whole continuum, but you can be using restorative questioning techniques.
Thanks, Heidi. So restorative questioning, what I love about it is it really helps you build that relationship. And something to know, going back to that video that we watched earlier about children affected with trauma, is something that their voice and their choice is taken away. So how powerful it can be for you to give the students a voice back. And that's something that restorative questioning does. So it's you as the adult giving them their voice and asking them what happened, having them talk through that problem. You're helping encourage empathy. You're helping them take accountability. You're also helping process through the problem solving at the same time that you as the adult are getting a better understanding of what happened and why it happened. But that, I think the biggest thing to remember is you're giving that student their voice back. And then thinking about down the road, if something else happens with that student, they're most likely going to come to that adult who knows that's going to give them an opportunity to speak their piece and that opportunity to talk. Another important thing about restorative questions is you don't want to do this in the heat of the moment. And I think a lot of us know that. Just remembering that we need to wait until after it's the children, the adults, everybody has de-escalated. Because if you're in an elevated state, this is not going to be productive. You're not going to get, you're really not going to get anything out of it. And they could feel like they're being attacked. And if you want to play the video now.
Yeah,
Heidi.
I think it's great. We'll play the video.
Hi, my name is David Cook. I'm the principal of Jemtigar Middle School in beautiful Washougal, Washington, the gateway to the Columbia River Gorge.
Hi, my name is Michelle Masser. I'm the associate principal at Washougal High School. Today, we are sharing with you 5 of the restorative questions that we use in our student support process. These were developed by the International Institute for Restorative Practices, or IIRP, and they have had a very positive impact on our school culture and helped us reduce our number of office discipline referrals.
The first question is, what happened? Give the students a chance to tell their story and give them a voice. This is really important in the process. It helps to build a foundation for problem solving as you do the future questions.
The second question is, what were you thinking of at the time? This allows the student to reflect on what was happening not only in the moment of the behavior incident, but right before it, and it helps adults identify the why behind the student behavior.
The third question is, what have you thought about since? Students can safely share current reflection on the situation, and this question often triggers empathy in the student, which will really help with question 4.
The fourth question is, who has been affected by what you've done and in what way? This allows students to understand that their behavior may have ripple effects and may affect other people. It helps to build empathy skills, and it also shifts the conversation from getting in trouble to problem solving.
The final question is, what do you need to do to make things right? And the first 4 questions really do set the stage for this question. In question 5, students become empathetic to those that they impacted, and they really strive to make a plan to restore the relationship. And there's great magic in watching that student come back with the student they impacted to solve problems and rebuild their relationship. It's also a powerful tool in rebuilding relationships between students and their teachers. The definition of discipline is to teach. These 5 questions teach reflection, empathy, and problem solving in a time that is normally reserved for punishment. Valuable life skills are taught in the most vulnerable time. We hope that these tips were helpful to you.
I don't know about you guys, but I would probably like to teach at that school. Boy, is it beautiful. Boy, is it beautiful there. But I think Monique's point is well taken with, you don't want to do this in the heat of the moment, but these are questions that you can use, and you don't have to be doing the whole continuum, right? Monique, you can have your staff just kind of be versed in these, and they can use them on the fly when they need them.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you don't have to use that verbatim how it is, like just knowing the basis of what these questions are, because what you're trying to get through is you're trying to encourage empathy and problem solving, letting the students kind of work through and understanding what happened, why it happened, how do I make that right? So that's a huge piece in that, so that you're not only teaching empathy, but you're helping them rebuild the relationships with their peers, and then they're building that relationship with the adults too.
Absolutely. So we wanted to kind of give you guys a little, because people do ask us at times.
Hi, my name is
about,
David Cook. I'm a principal.
Sort of practices and you know, about how to get that started. So we wanted to give you at least, that's kind of that's something that you can try, and it's not something that you necessarily need a whole ton of training, but you can at least start maybe getting into that mindset of using that verbiage a little bit, maybe not verbatim, but using some of that verbiage when students are having some behavioral challenges for sure. And Monique is going to share my favorite one that I'm sure you've heard us talk about a million times, is that's the 2x10.
Yeah, the 2x10 is also one of my favorites. It's very simple when you think about it. It's just spending 2 minutes a day for 10 days, interacting with a student in your classroom, or maybe not in the classroom, maybe in the hallway. I like to think about it in, you know, you can naturally build relationships with some people, and then there might be a few students that, you know, maybe you're giving you a little bit of pushback, or maybe there's some where you're just like, I want to know a little bit more about them. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know certain things. And so it's just spending 2 minutes a day with them. But the important thing is for it to be genuine. Kids can pick up when we're not being genuine. They can pick up when we're being fake, especially high schoolers and middle schoolers. And I mean, the younger ones can too. So it's just being genuine and engaged in them, talking about something that's not school related. It's personal. If you know that they're part of a team, hey, how did practice go last night? How did that game go? Maybe you were at the game and you're like, oh, I saw that 3-pointer that you shot. Good job. Just things like that, so that the student knows, like, you see them, you hear them, and knowing that you're going to be a person for them that's going to be a trusted adult. So maybe they're dealing with a situation later in that day. Well, I'm going to go over to Mr. Jones because I know that he's invested in me and he's taking the time to get to know me. So maybe he's a person that I can go to. I don't know if you wanted to play that video, Heidi.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's just great to see how other practitioners use the strategy. So, well, this is a short one too.
Have you ever felt like you're having trouble connecting with one of your students?
Maybe a student's having a hard time building positive relationships, is disruptive, or just needs extra emotional support.
Welcome to this week's RUSD Quick Tip. My name is Suzanne Barron, Crisis Prevention and Intervention School Psychologist.
And I'm Alex Collins, MTSS School Psychologist. In previous Quick Tips, we've shared strategies for building relationships, including greetings at the door and check-in questions. But what can we do for those students who need extra help building connections? Let's introduce you to the 2x10 relationship building strategy.
2x10 takes just 2 minutes a day over 10 days and helps build teacher-student relationships by showing genuine interest in a student. This strategy can be used with students in all grades and ages and can be done by any adult on campus.
So where do we start? Step 1, choose the student you'd like to have a stronger relationship with. Step 2, decide the best time to approach the student, for example, at the beginning of a class period. Step 3, find the student and start a conversation with them.
Remember, you want to keep it brief, so aim for 2 minutes. Make sure to invite student voice. This means having them share something about their life outside of school, like their favorite food or favorite band. Ask open-ended questions and use context clues, like if they're wearing a hat with a sports team, to help drive the conversations. But most important, be honest and sincere.
Consistency is key. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Remember, these are students that need extra help building connection. Even a shorter conversation can help build relationships as long as it happens every day. Keep the momentum going. 2x10 is just the start.
Research shows that implementing the 2x10 intervention can lead to significant improvements in behavior and classroom climate. It's quick, natural, requires no prep, and easily fits into any short gaps you have during the day. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for our upcoming quick tips for more ideas.
So my favorite thing that she said in that was requires no prep. again, it's kind of like the first 5 that we were talking about when we started, no prep on the teacher's part, which is great, Any other last thoughts, Monique?
No, no, Heidi.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for sharing from your perspective, because you really do have that trauma informed and mental health perspective. So we really love
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
And the last thing that we wanted to share with you as far as a resource or a tool is this actual resource or tool. And it comes from the Turnaround for Children from their toolbox. I'm not sure if, I think Frank is still on. He's going to kind of talk about this one. And this is kind of pulling everything together that we've talked about so far.
Yeah, so occasionally we go down rabbit holes and we find some resources, and this was one that came out of one of those rabbit holes. Don't know the pathway to find it, but it turned out to be pretty excellent, because everybody on this call right now is really a firm believer in relationship building, and that's probably a part of who you are and what you did as an educator. But not all educators are in that same boat. Some of them need extra resources and training, in these areas, because it doesn't come natural to them. What's nice about this Turnaround for Children toolbox and this particular download is it really sets it up in a way that someone that's not used to, or this isn't natural to building, such as the 2x10, how to do it. It's a step-by-step, where if we just send out a video, people might not understand it, but here's a step-by-step. In addition to those on this meeting are part of that research aspects, and then other people are implementing. A nice component of these actual strategies is they have some examples of how you could keep or monitor that information or monitor the implementation. So there is, for the 2x10, just a little monitoring piece, so if you determine as a district or as a building, this is something that we want to, put forth as a strategy, but how do we track to make sure that this strategy is being implemented to fidelity, so we can ensure that the student outcome data, which in this case is many times, decreasing student discipline and also increasing some of those positive aspects of student surveys. So in this document itself has a variety of different relationship building suggestions or strategies, and just some examples on how you could track that information or utilize that within your own building.
And Frank, what comes to mind is I'm thinking of, like, let's say a BLT said, we're going to just focus on the banking time strategy. We want the whole building to maybe pick one student to focus, and every teacher take one student and just focus on it for a specific period of time. I could imagine how impactful that could be if consistently that was happening throughout the building. Let's say, their goal was to, I don't know, increase attendance or reduce discipline referrals, and they're going to use one of these strategies and ask every teacher in the building to do it, and then come back and see at their next BLT how they've done with that. I think that could be, and it wouldn't be hard, because it wouldn't take really, most of these strategies take very little to no prep time on the teacher's part. So I think that could be a really powerful way to try to impact attendance or behavioral incidences or climate or culture, for that matter. It could be really an easy and powerful strategy to do.
Yeah, we're great. We're great at identifying problems. We're great at figuring out strategies. Where we sometimes struggle is the implementation and the follow through and the monitoring over that. So, those are definitely things that you want to focus in as a leadership team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've given you, this is kind of like the wrap up, because it's like the planning piece or the monitoring piece, as Frank said, but we wanted to just give you guys some simple strategies that really require little teacher prep, but could be very impactful in your building. And please, any of these strategies are linked on each slide to more information about that strategy. So please take it back and use it how you see fit in your district or building. But again, I will reiterate by saying we are at that midpoint of the year. I think it's a really good time to, number one, reteach your expectations, reteach classroom procedures and routines, and also reconnect with students on a relationship base. So I think it's a great time this January mid-year, you know, we're going to be coming up to the spring and it's going to start to be getting a little bit harder as time goes on. So this is a great time to kind of be proactive in that way, and try some of these strategies with students. I think they're all really great ideas. So we've been kind of talking at you guys for a minute. I'll give you guys a minute to process before we kind of finish up our meeting this morning. Any questions or thoughts about anything that we've shared so far?